Here are 3 real ways you can get featured in the media without knowing journalists personally, paying for a placement, or having a massive brand. And make sure you watch until the end of the video because I'm going to give you a ready-made pitch template that you can use immediately. These are simple, entry-level PR methods that I've seen work again and again if you do them correctly. So make sure you watch carefully because I'm going to show you how they work on my screen. Before we start, very important thing, just because these methods are simple, that doesn't mean you have to be careless. If you rush or copy and paste or spam journalists, none of this is going to work and you are going to ruin your chances of maybe ever getting featured in the media. So, okay, let's get into this. The first method is newsjacking, which essentially means commenting on breaking news in your industry or trending topics in your industry. Journalists are constantly under pressure, so they need fast insight, credible experts, and clear commentary. And if you can provide those when a news broke or there's a trending topic while everyone else reacts internally, you can become a really good source for journalists to use not just that time, but also in the future. No matter what your industry is, there's always going to be news that you can comment on or you can provide expertise, but obviously it has to be valuable and you have to relate to that topic. I'm going to show you what to look for. If you go on Google and if you type in your industry and breaking news, whatever it is, you can see on your screen all the articles that have just been released in the past couple of days, past couple of hours. What you're looking for is the most recent articles because that's where you're going to provide value. So you can see these articles, some of these articles have been released 2 hours ago, 21 hours ago, 23 hours ago. These are good to comment on because they have just been released, so there might have not been many experts that have commented on. That's what you're looking for. You basically need to look for news that have been released in the past 24 to 72 hours ago, just because those are fresh and journalists are still looking to continue that topic. Make sure when you are sending your comments, make sure that you're not pitching your service or your product or your company. You have to send who you are, why you're credible, why you're relevant to this topic. Your commentary only needs to take up 2 or 3 sentences, nothing longer. And also at the end, always offer to provide more commentary or an interview, and make sure that you always attach a professional headshot to go along with any of your pitches that you ever do, because that can completely change whether you are going to be used in the article or not, because journalists don't really have time to follow up with you and then wait for you to respond. If you give them everything that they need straight away, you are almost never going to be ignored. The biggest mistake with newsjacking is being late or not providing value. Just because the news has been released, that doesn't mean that you have to repeat what's already been out there. It also doesn't mean that you have to invent a completely new topic, okay? You just have to add to what's already out there. And it has to be a value not to you, but to the journalist and the readers that they're writing for, okay? Make sure that you don't just pitch to all of the journalists on your Google list. That's not going to work. You're just going to be ignored. It has to be personalized. You have to bring value. You have to show your expertise and make it concise and make it simple. You would be surprised by how well this works if you actually do this correctly. Okay, the second methods are platforms which connect journalists to experts and who want more exposure, okay? There are multiple platforms, there are multiple ways you can do this. The most popular platforms are Help a Reporter Out, and there's also a hashtag on X that you can use. The hashtag is JournoRequests, which essentially is the same thing. So platforms like Help a Reporter Out connect journalists who need experts, who need commentary, who need experts, to experts who want more exposure. And hashtag journal request is very popular with journalists, and I know it's popular because I've used it as well when I was in journalism. And all of these platforms work the same way. Journalists post a question or a description of what they're looking to cover and who they're looking to interview. And if you fit the description, you can pitch yourself, you can pitch your answer, and if you're chosen, you can be featured. You don't have to pitch, you don't have to call, you don't have to email. It's very simple, but it's very effective. Let me show you how this works. So with some of the platforms, you can sign up to get their emails. You get emails twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day, maybe once a day. Like this one, this is Press Flow. It's similar to Help a Reporter Out. So you can see a category they're looking for. This is finance and business. You can see the outlet Daily Star, and you can see what they're looking for. Similar here, also similar with Help a Reporter Out. You can see all of the current requests from journalists. If you click on any of them, you will have space where you can pitch your answer. You can, again, write who you are, why you're credible to speak on the topic. And then if you're chosen, sometimes journalists reach back out to you and ask for a picture or ask for a bit more information, but sometimes they don't. So you just have to check manually whether you've been selected to be featured in the article. With this, you have to be very careful because these platforms, they tend to check whether you are credible to comment on certain issues. Again, if you just send comments to all of these people on the list, you might be blocked for spamming, because it's obvious that you cannot comment on all of these topics, right? So you have to be very careful with that. And again, you have to bring value with everything that you pitch. You don't just sell your product or your service. You don't talk about yourself. You just answer the question or answer whatever they're looking to ask you. If your answers are genuinely helpful, you can be featured in some really big publications if that's what you're looking for. Make sure that you don't send pages of the information, because that's not going to be read, that's not going to be even accepted. Make sure that everything that you write is clean and concise, and that you have a small bio, professional one, explaining who you are, why you're relevant. It only has to be a sentence or two, nothing more. And the clearer and the more useful you are, the better your chances are of getting featured. The third method is the most traditional one. Is the one that requires you to do a bit more, but it's the most effective one out of all of these methods, and it's pitching to a journalist, pitching a news angle, a story, or your expertise to a journalist. So how you do this is you identify journalists that covers your niche in your industry, and you do research on them. You look at what they've covered before, you look at what articles they're writing about, and what the readers are interested in. So you have to do research for this one. And then you pitch them a story that their readers would actually care about. You don't send 2 pages of press releases, you don't send your promotional information. You just have to pitch a story or an angle. I'm going to show you how this looks. So instead of saying, we have a new product, we have a new service that we're launching, you are saying, we're seeing this major shift in AI that affects small business, or whatever it is, right? Whatever you think is going to add value to their readers, but also position you as the expert, is what you are going to pitch. So I'm going to show you how to look for journalists. So if you go on Google, you can click on the story that you think you can add value, or the topic that you think you can add value, and then you can see the reporter, the editor who wrote the story. And with this one, for example, you can see all of the previous stories that they've written, the topics that they're interested in. You can even see their LinkedIn if you want to have a chat with them. Obviously, don't message them to be useless. Everything, add value with everything. And yeah, this is quite simple, but this is a simple version of what you actually have to do. You actually have to do, if you want to do this properly, you have to do deep research on journalists. You have to make sure that what you're pitching is relevant to their readers, because you're not going to pitch a finance news to someone who writes about healthcare. That's not going to work. You're going to get ignored. And then you make sure that you have a good pitch, right? This is very important. A good pitch has 5 parts, which is a personalized opener. This is why you're doing your research. You have to include their name. This is very basic respect. You have to include their name. Then you have to say that you have read what they've written about, that's why you're reaching out, because you can add value, okay? You have to do your research because you have to know who they are, what they're writing about. That's because you're going to include that in your pitch. Then you have to write why you are credible. Also very short. You don't need to write your biography in this pitch. You have to make sure you include your unique angle, your expertise, your comment, whatever you're pitching. This has to be appealing. This has to be informative as well. And then also at the end, always include an offer to be interviewed or an offer to provide more information, and include your photo straight away as well, because sometimes a journalist can see your angle, your comment. They don't have to email you straight back away if they don't have time. They just use that in the article. And you don't have to guess how to write the pitch, because I've written a ready-made pitch that you can use straight away. I'm going to show you how it looks like. So this is a basic pitch template that you can use to email journalists that you are looking to pitch to. This has everything that I've told you needs to be included in the pitch. Now, before a journalist sees your email, they see your subject line. You would be surprised by how many emails journalists receive every day, okay? So you have to make sure that your subject line stands out, but it's not salesy, it's not promotional, it's not talking about yourself. You have to sort of write it like a headline or a news angle, or maybe like a clear promise of a value, okay? It has to stand out from all the others, but it doesn't have to be clickbaity. So instead of saying we have exciting new service, because you're not pitching your exciting new service, you can say expert insight on this AI regulation that affects small businesses. Whatever it is, whatever you are pitching on, okay? Make sure that your subject line is specific, it's timely, and it's relevant, and it's focused on the topic you're pitching on, not you. If your subject line sounds like an ad, it will be skipped, and you might even get blocked. Now, all of these three methods work for a simple reason. They respect how journalists work. So you're not asking for coverage, you're not paying them, you're not selling them something that they don't need. You're actually offering value, expertise, and relevance. So no matter which one of those methods you use, or maybe you use all of them, you always have to treat journalists like humans, not targets, okay? If you build genuine relationships with journalists, this will benefit you a long way, and because you can benefit them and they can benefit you, okay? This is always, any work with journalists should be a partnership, the same way you work with everyone else. Now you have three real practical ways of getting featured in the media: newsjacking, journalist request platforms, and direct pitching with proper structure. If you want the ready-made pitch that I showed earlier, you can find it in the link below. And if you are done experimenting, or if you want a personalized PR strategy that's built specifically for you and your business to help you build credibility, expertise, and trust with your buyers and partners, you can also book a call with me in the link down below as well, because getting featured in the media once is exciting, but building media momentum is what's actually going to change your business.